Good morning, ATD family. Welcome to another episode of Around the Diamond. Grand Slam Sam, Baseball Bill here. We are back. This is like the first time in like a month and a half Bill and I have done back to back shows. So we're really excited that we're back to somewhat of a normal schedule. Not saying that can't change before the end of the season, but we're going to try to keep it on track. We're going to start this as we always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful, somewhat rainy Saturday where I am?
Hey, we're good. I'm just curious, are you trying to call us normal? Because I'm not. I don't know. I
Maybe
don't
the
know that I'm going to go
farthest
with
thing
normal,
from
you and I.
normal, but we tried. We tried. We make an
Yeah,
attempt.
yeah, yeah. We try. We try.
So we're gonna jump right into the topics. Now we brought this topic up last week, and last night when Bill and I were talking about what we're gonna talk about today, we all of a sudden shockingly remembered we were gonna talk about this topic. So we were like, well, I guess we gotta do it. We told the fans we'd do it. So when we were talking last week about the wild card picture, I had made a point to mention that I don't see the Pirates making it, although they were a team I was really high of, as well as Bill. So we want to talk about it. Can the Pirates make the postseason? Bill, what are you thinking?
So last Saturday, when we recorded, um, we had talked about the Tigers. We had talked about, let's see how this all plays itself out. The Tigers got they lost that last game on Sunday, the fourth. Then they got swept in that three-game series against the Padres. Then they got swept by the 2024 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. And then they got swept by the Padres again. So they went 0 and 10. Um, and when we get to the standings, we'll talk about that. Can they make the postseason? Yes, they're not mathematically eliminated. Did this last week of the season really slow them down? Yes, it did.
You know, when you take a look at this team as a whole, I mean, they might be the most exciting team right now in baseball with one of the most surprising records in baseball. And like you said, we're going to talk about it when we get to the standings. But what is it that you see in the next month and a half of this season that the Pirates would need to do to get in?
So I'm I'm a little somebody mentioned this to me yesterday, and I thought, oh, you got to be joking. And then I looked at the Pirates' schedule and their record, and I thought, hey, you're not joking. Um, so before we record again, they play two more with uh, the Mariners, three with Texas. Texas isn't a very good team, and then they play the Reds. All right, so it's going to be a unique schedule. What do I think they need to do? I just think they need to look for consistency. They can't drop 12 or 10 in a row again. They've got to win series. So they've got to go out and they've got two out of three from Seattle, two out of three from Texas, and three out of four from the Reds. Period. They've got to win every series between now and the end of the season. Because the reality of it is I think they're now like 5 or 7 games back in the standings. And
I
I
was going
think
to
they're
mention
like, what's that?
that. I was going to bring that up next. So,
Yeah, okay. So go ahead. But the reality is I think that if they don't turn it around quickly, you'll see guys like Paul Skeens get shut down towards the early part of September just to preserve his arm. You'll start to see younger guys come up, and the Pirates basically test out their farm system because they're out.
I look, you and I love towards the end of the season when the young guys get to play. I think it's one of our favorite times a year. Besides talking about what's coming in October, being able to see, the babies come up from the farm and showcase what they got is always one of our funnest times a year. But
100%.
when
100%.
you look at currently where the Pirates sit, again, we're going to talk about their standings when we get into it, but right now they're 57 and 64. They're 6.5 games out of the third wild card spot, and there are, including the team that's in that third wild card spot, there's 6 teams in front of them, all within 4.5 games or less. Four of those teams are division teams. So when you look at the fact that they are primarily facing in division for the majority of the rest of their season, when push comes to shove, will the Pirates make it?
Mm-mm. They've really got to. Before, when we were talking last Saturday, I thought, okay, well, you know, if they can win against the Dodgers today, or maybe take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, take 2 out of 3 from San Diego, they can turn this thing around. Yeah. No, after the 10-game losing streak, when you look at their schedule for the rest of this month, it doesn't look difficult. I mean, the Cubs aren't a very good team right now, but Cleveland is, and Cleveland is fighting for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then you get in September, you got the Cubs, you got the Nationals, which the Nationals aren't very good, and you got Miami. But then after that, the schedule doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
Then you got Kansas City, who's fighting for their life in division, 2 teams or 3 teams in division, and then you finish with the Yankees. So my thing is last week I would have said yes. This week I'm going to say no. But top fans, follow up with me next week. Let's see how the Pirates play this week.
It's good. The Pirates, the National League Central could be the true wild card of the National League, because you
Yes.
really just don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
When we get to the standings, you'll see everything minus first place changed in a week, and even the team that's in first place in 2 weeks could not be there anymore. That's how
Yes.
crazy the National League Central is. So make sure you are staying on top of it with ATD and Top Fan, because we are going to keep monitoring the National League Central situation all the way until the last game of the season.
Yes.
Now, getting into the next topic, this topic is a complete shock to Bill. He has no idea what we're talking about. I even, on the pre-show, kept it a surprise from him. So
Yeah.
I am excited to discuss this topic, because this is a topic
It better not be Barry Bonds being in the Hall of Fame.
It is not. Don't you worry. I know that's a battle that you and I will go back and forth on for hours and hours and probably days.
Hey, I'm willing to admit that Buster Posey belongs to the Hall of Fame, so give me some credit.
I mean, I don't think you are wrong in that, and I think the baseball community would say you are not wrong in that statement. I don't think there's really anyone that would say that Buster should not be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not first ballot, although I think he should be, but there's no question he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. If not first, probably between second and third, he'll be in. But this topic is a topic I've had recently with some of my friends outside of TopFanRivalry. And I'm curious as to Bill's thoughts on this. Bill, who is the best offensive player in baseball?
I like this topic.
Now, when you think of offense, so before I grab Bill's opinion, when I think of offensive, actually, you know what, Bill? When you think of offensive players, what do you constitute makes the best offensive player? Is it home runs? Is it batting average? Is it what they do as a whole while they're up to bat? What is it that you think constitutes the best offensive player in baseball?
Okay, so first and foremost, Sam, for me to answer that question, it's real simple. And then I'm going to have you define for the listeners something just in case they don't know, because I'll get to that. For me, a best offensive player is somebody that across the board, I look at hits, I look at doubles, I look at triples, I look at home runs, I look at RBIs, I look at batting average. The other thing that I look at is I look at their walks to strikeouts ratio. So very few players have more walks than they do strikeouts. And yeah, in today's game, average isn't as big of a thing as it used to be. All of Matt Chapman on here, right? And so Matt Chapman, I would argue, is one of the better players in baseball, offensive players in baseball, but he's hitting 246. Now, you go, if you rewind the clock 25 years, maybe even go a little further, maybe you run the clock 30 years. Somebody hits 246 is about average in Major League Baseball. Now we look at anybody under 250 and we think,
Yep.
oh. So, same question to you. What do you think makes a good offensive player?
I couldn't agree with your statement any more than you said it. When I look at an offensive player, a lot of my friends that I've spoken to about this topic have said it's Aaron Judge. Look at his batting average. Look at what he's done on the home run plate. Look at the number of RBIs he's had. But when I take a step back and I pose this question to him, well, what else does he do in the base path? The conversation becomes quiet. So I agree with you. I think when you look at an overall offensive player, you have to look at his walk ratio, his walk to strikeout ratio. You have to take into consideration what he's hitting when he's up to bat. Is he a great a doubles hitter? Is he a great triples hitter? Does he get on base? What is he doing when he gets on base? I'll even include RBIs. How many runs does he drive in to help the team out? I think all of those factors go into effect, and I agree with you, even to the statement of look at what we did back in the late 60s, early 70s, or late 60s throughout the 70s and the early 80s. You look at that average of what players were hitting at, you were typically hitting between a 215 and probably a 245 ERA, batting average. That was probably typically standard. But as the game has gotten tougher, players have gotten better and stronger and are, being more advantageous with their ability at the plate. The averages are going up. The doubles are going up. The triples are going up. So you can't just take a batting average and say, well, this guy is clearly the best offensive player. Look at his batting average. There's so many other factors that go into it. So, Bill, you had asked me, you said before posing the question and providing your response, you wanted me to define something. Was that what you wanted me to define, or was there something else?
So no, define for everybody what war is. I know what war is, but let's define what war is.
I appreciate you including it. Now, it's important that you understand what WAR is because that's going to play a factor into determining the best offensive player in baseball. WAR is wins above replacement. And what that means is it's a baseball statistic that measures a player's value to a team by comparing how many more wins they contribute than a replacement level player. So let's take Matt Chapman for this example. Matt Chapman is an exceptional third baseman, probably one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball. Over the last 5 years, I don't think there's anyone that could say Matt Chapman is not in the top 5 best defensive third baseman in the league. I don't think so. And I'm even talking about when he wasn't a Giant. I would say that even if he wasn't a Giant, Matt Chapman is one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball. But when you look at his WAR, what they're saying is if they were to take Matt Chapman out of the game and put in Casey Schmidt, who's our backup third baseman, they're expecting the Giants to get 5 less wins by replacing Matt Chapman than having Matt Chapman in.
Yeah.
So take that
Yes,
from an Ohtani standpoint. Ohtani's the DH. If they were to take Ohtani out, the Dodgers would supposedly win 6 less games than they've won.
yeah, see, and I think that that's important that we share that statistic because I'm not a big fan of war. To me, you can't quantify. So take Aaron Judge for a second. They say that the Yankees would win 8.5 games less without Aaron Judge in the lineup. Okay, but who's his replacement, right? We don't know exactly who his replacement is. We don't know if he were on the 30-day IL, for example, who replaces him over those 30 days? Do they get hot? Do they? So to me, WAR is a statistic that the MLB uses, but I don't even look at it, to be honest. I'm glad that you included it because I think that that's a topic that needs to be discussed. And Sam, I think for a future episode, maybe in the off season, we can talk about certain statistics that may or may not be over the top. To me, WAR is one of them. So you take Otani, you mentioned Otani. See, with Chapman, it's a different story because you only have so many third basemen. With Aaron Judge, sometimes he bats DH, sometimes he plays right field, sometimes he plays center field, sometimes he plays left field. So who's his replacement? With Otani, he's a DH. Who's his replacement? Who are you quantifying that against? And so maybe we have that topic, but that's for another. I digress. If you're going to ask who the best offensive player is in baseball, I'm gonna give you one or two here, and they're not going to be very popular from this list. It's not going to be a very popular answer.
Are you gonna give us one AL and one NL? Is it both from one division? I'm
No,
curious.
one NL, one AL.
Great, that's what I
If
was hoping you were gonna say. So what you got?
okay, in the AL, it's Bobby Witt Jr. And I'm going to quantify that by a statement that you just made, where what do they do besides for hit bombs? Now, back in the day, you go back 30 years ago, somebody hits 25 home runs in a season. We're tipping our cap. We're not used to seeing 40 home runs. We're not used to seeing, you know, yada, yada, yada. Bobby Witt Jr. is batting higher than Aaron Judge. He's got obviously less home runs, but he's going to crack that 100 RBI. And if you look at his triples and you look at his doubles, I believe he's got almost 30 triples. I
He's
mean,
got
doubles.
actually no. Unfortunately, in the triples, you are way off on that category.
He's got 11 triples, I believe,
Yes, he has 11
and
triples, 34 doubles,
34 doubles. Correct.
and the you know I appreciate what you brought up about his walk to strikeout ratio because this is something that I think is really interesting. Before we get to your NL topic, because I'm gonna compare two AL guys.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge's walk to strikeout ratio is he has 102 bases on balls or 102 walks and 132 strikeouts. Bobby Witt Jr., ready for this drastic difference? I don't know if you're ready for this insane difference.
I'm sitting down.
38 walks, 82 strikeouts.
Correct. Correct. And how many stolen bases between both of them?
25 stolen bases for Bobby Witt, 6 for Aaron Judge.
That's my argument. Now, do I not think that Aaron Judge is amazing? He's the youngest player, not the first, the youngest player to ever get to the 300 home run marker. Absolutely 100%. Do I think that he's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired today? Yes, probably. Do I think that he's going to be part of the 500 home run club? He stays healthy, probably. Could he get to the 600 home run club? He's got another 8 or 9 years with the Yankees. If he just averaged in the next 8 years 35 home runs, he'll be darn near close. So I think Aaron Judge is amazing? Yes, no shade against Aaron Judge. The best offensive player, Bobby Witt Jr. National League, I don't think it's even a thing. I think it's Shohei. That has nothing to do with me being a Dodger fan or anything like that. I'm looking at the guys that you put up on here, which are fantastic players. Matt Chapman, Lindor, and Marte, fantastic players. But remember, Shohei Ohtani is doing a lot of these numbers hitting leadoff. So 86 RBI is a big deal when you're hitting leadoff, when typically nobody's in front of you a lot of the game. The man is going to be a 40-40 guy this season. He might be a 45-45 guy. He has a slight possibility of being a 50-50 guy. I think he needs 15 stolen bases and 13 home runs or something.
Yeah, I would definitely put 50-50 as a very deep stretch.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna say it's out of the realm of possibility. But I feel like it is. It will be. It is a. It will be a tough feat for him to accomplish to get 50-50.
So the only question that becomes is Shohei the best offensive player in baseball? Um, is whether or not it's 2024 that we're talking about. Because in 2025, if he starts pitching again, does he accomplish the same things? And if he gets 10 wins on the mound and is still a 40-40 guy, he's better than anybody on the planet. But if we're looking at just,
There won't be any question about that, and that will be a conversation we will bring up next year when Otani is back pitching.
yep. So
Um,
Otani, wait, is it wait, wait? That means give me a call.
yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I think when I look at, I agree with your two picks for the best in each division. When I look at overall all of MLB, who is the best offensive player though, I'm going to give it to Bobby Witt. I'm not
Bingo,
taking anything away from
bingo.
what Shohei's done. Look, Now, the one thing I will kind of push back on with Shohei is his ball to strikeout ratio.
Mm-hmm.
He's 66 walks with 132 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, keep in mind he's had 475 at bats. He's still had five triples. He's had 37 home runs. And I think what's really impressive in where he's hitting in the lineup is that he's had 29 doubles. 29 doubles as a designated hitter is incredible. I mean, you don't see those types of numbers from DHs. Typically, they're power guys. You're hoping they bring in singles. Typically, they may get between 8 to 12, maybe 15 doubles throughout the season. You're not seeing DHs getting these types of extra base numbers. But Shohei, and I'll agree with you, he is a different type of player. And I think when you add back into him his pitching stats, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how he does it next year, and even more interesting to see what he does on this team compared to how he played as an Angel. It's going to impact a lot of things. But I also don't think he'll be leading off next year. So I think that'll definitely adjust a couple of things.
I hope not. I would rather see him in the number 2 role.
I think Mookie's going to go back to leading off. I think, if anything, you'll have Freeman and Otani bouncing back and forth between 2 and 3 until they solidify who should play in that, or who should be hitting in that position. But I think for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the official season next year, not preseason, those two will go back and forth. And nothing against either of them. It's just to figure out where's the best place in the lineup to put them. Would you say that's pretty accurate? You're a
100%.
Dodger guy, so I mean,
100%.
cool.
100%.
Bill, did you like the topic?
I love the topic. I
I told you
absolutely
you'd be
love the topic.
surprised. I told you, man.
Yeah, this is a great topic, and this is a debate worthy topic where actually we ought to consider, you and I ought to consider hosting a
Another ATD sponsored podcast. Maybe bring on
maybe,
maybe bring on Big Baseball Dave. Bring in Red Sox Mike
yeah,
from around the Red Sox. Possibly bring in Thomas, our Braves guru. Get in a couple of different guys to get some opinions. I'm all about that. I'd love to throw you into a debate with some of the big hitters we got in the Top Fan Rivalry community to get all of your opinions.
there you
So,
go.
Bill, I think we need to make that happen in the next week or two.
Consider it done. I'm going to work on it today.
Awesome. As we talk about all the time, this is ATD, and we are going to talk about the entire baseball league. So let's get into the standings. Bill, you want to take me through this AL?
Absolutely. Before we do that, I have to say, I don't know if everybody knows this, but this week on Thursday, we had our first ever private event that was a ladies' night. It was a ladies' night in. It was on Zoom. It was for locker room members only. If you're catching this on YouTube and you don't know what a locker room is, you need to go to TopFanRivalry.com right now and go explore it. It is $25 a year. You get a discount code called ATD, capital A, capital T, capital D. That'll get you 10% off. Locker room will get you all the articles that fans have written. It'll get you discounts on all the merchandise, which there's a lot of fun collectibles. If you're a collectible person, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's actual baseball cards, signed autograph balls, things like that, it's going to get you discounts there. In addition to the
Dugout
discounts there,
mugs,
it's going to get you discounts on all on
koozies.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't forget the dugout mugs.
I'm trying to
And
figure out what other stuff I haven't
yeah,
talked. I'm trying to just pull it all out here.
yeah, and I'm gonna say right now, Sam, that not only that, but it gets you involved in the community, and there's going to be community events. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the show and what we have planned. So, anyways, let me take you through the American League. I thought that it's important that we mention that. Yankees and Orioles are going to fight it out to the death till the end of the season. Neither one of them are going to miss the playoffs, so it's going to be interesting. The Red Sox need to step it into high gear. They were doing so well, and then they kind of hit a little bit of a skid. Hey, Rays, hey, Blue Jays, play your games out. It's okay. We'll see you next season. Guardians, don't stop. The Guardians are like kicking it into high gear. The Twins have kicked it into high gear and are trying to catch them. The Royals are trying to catch them. The Tigers, well, you know, the Tigers just did some damage to another team when they swept them. But White Sox, congratulations on beating the Yankees 12-2 this week. And also congratulations on beating the Astros. Nobody expected you to win either one of those games. There you go. Enjoy your 120 loss season. Um, Astros and Mariners. Mariners have fallen apart. As you can see, the Astros are 8-2 in their last 10. Mariners are 4-6. They're currently 3 games out of first place.
Four
Uh,
and a half out of the third wild card spot.
Yeah, 4.5. So as you and I predicted, Sammy, as you and I predicted, in the American League West, it's win or go home. You're not going to get the wild card. It's win or go home. Um, Rangers next year, but hey, congratulations on winning the World Series last year. Angels, I've been in the stadium twice this week, and I'm going to be there tonight. Sam, I'm going to tell you right now, the stadium is hurting. The fans are hurting. And the Oakland A's are going to have sellouts for the next couple of weeks because come the end of September, there's no more baseball at the Oakland Coliseum,
Yeah.
and it's
Uh,
sad.
I couldn't agree with you more on where you're saying. The only thing I'm gonna say is that it whilst a lot of these teams are out already and probably have no shot of making it. Rangers, see you next year. Angels, congrats. You won over 50 games. You'll probably win over 65, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Oakland, I'm just proud you won 50. I really am. White Sox, I have nothing to say to you. I have absolutely zero to say to you. You are the embarrassment of baseball this year. You had such high hopes. I honestly thought that AL Central was going to be even tighter with the White Sox in it, and the White Sox, sorry, figure yourselves out. Get like the best thing you did this season was fire your skip. Sorry, that was the best thing you did this year. You could have done some other good things by trading away some of your high contracts before the trade deadline. You decide to think otherwise. Bad move. The one thing I'm gonna say is that the wild card picture is going to be very interesting between the Twins, the Royals, the Red Sox, and the Mariners as we go into the rest of the season, because the Twins are have a 2 game lead in that second wild card spot. The Royals currently hold the third. Boston's 2.5 out, and the Mariners are 4.5 out. So those 4 teams are going to be in a dog fight for the wild card. I think the Mariners are even still in a dog fight for the division. Again, they are only 2.5 out in the division, 3.5 out. What is it? They're 3 games back in the division, 2.5 in the wild card. The Mariners may be in a tight pinch right now, but I still have a lot of faith in that team and still believe it's theirs to lose.
Hmm.
I don't think it's Houston.
Amen.
Houston again, you can't count Houston out, but I think it's still the Mariners' division to lose.
Amen. So here's the thing too. I'm not going against my buddies in Houston. Um,
Don't
but
call him,
I'm
don't
I'm
text him, don't email him, don't even Instagram him. It's gonna go
I'm
in.
actually pulling for the White Sox this weekend because I want to see that race. I know the Astro fans want to pull it, put some distance there. I want to see that race tighten up again. So I'm actually hoping that the White Sox have a good weekend against the Astros.
Me too. Looking at this National League, Phillies have been crushing it. They had a little bit of a they had some interesting games the beginning of this week, but then they won their last three games. They're back on track. Um, Definitely going to be going into September with the best record in the National League East. I don't think there's any question about that. Braves fighting hard, took 3 out of 4 against the Giants this week, which was really tough, but they were not giveaways. They were not blowouts except game 3. Those 4 game, 3 of those 4 games, well, the first 2 games in that Braves Giants series, man, could they have literally gone either way.
Yeah.
Bill, I
So
think you can agree with that.
yeah.
Mets still fighting, still in the wild card hunt and are fighting. But Nationals, Marlins, see you next year. Great season. Pat yourselves on the back. Get ready for golf. And get ready to see some of the youth come up and play because we're excited about that. Moving over into the Central, the Brewers are not as good as we think they are. If the Brewers were in any other division in baseball, they would, I mean, maybe except the American League Central, they would be a 500 team. The fact that they are leading in the Central right now with the level of play they've had is mind blowing, and they should be thanking themselves that they've had such an easy earlier schedule than they did in the second half of the year. But Reds, Cubs, and Cardinals keep fighting like dogs because you guys are making this National League wild card race something exciting for all of us National League fans to watch. Moving over into the West, the Dodgers are still rocking it hard. Padres and D-backs are still in a gruesome battle to try to overtake the Dodgers in the National League West. They are going to keep it tight till the end of the season. Giants, though, are still hanging in tough for that third wild card spot. They are 3 games out for the wild card, only behind the Braves and the Mets. Anything can happen in that third spot. And Rockies, I feel like this becomes an every year thing, but see you next year. Enjoy your off season. Chris Bryant, what are you doing? Bill, what do you think of this National League?
I'll be quick for time purposes. Mets and the Braves are the most interesting thing to watch in the East because they're gonna seesaw back and forth for that wild card spot or those final wild card spots. Um, the Brewers have this thing locked up. I don't know what happens to any of those other 4 teams if they can pull off a wild card thing. If you're paying attention to the wild card, everybody, the only teams in the National League that are probably out of contention are the Rockies, the Marlins, and the Nationals. Everybody else can make it happen. And it's scary to say that. It's actually scary to say that because that means you have 12 teams vying for 6 playoff positions and only 3 teams that are gone. In the West, somebody, uh, a good friend of ours, Mikey, had brought up a point on a live this week that we were on. There's a bunch of Dodger fans that are, oh, the Dodgers are falling apart. Mikey said, hey, listen, when the Dodgers lost Mookie Betts, they were 17 games over 500. Now, granted, they were 8 games over the Padres and the Diamondbacks. They're now, when Mookie came back, they were 20 games over 500, but only 2 games over the Padres and Diamondbacks. That has nothing to do with the Dodgers. That has everything to do with not scoreboard watching. The Padres and the Diamondbacks are playing out of their minds right now, out of their freaking minds. So if that continues, that's going to be a great race in the NL West. Um, can it continue? 100%. Does it continue? I don't know. The Padres have a relatively decently difficult schedule. So do the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers' schedule gets easier come September. So we'll see how that all plays itself out. But that's one heck of a race. But that goes to what you and I talked about last week. You don't scoreboard watch right now.
Yep.
If the Dodgers don't, if the Dodgers were 4-6 in their last 10, then you'd have a virtual tie with the Padres and Diamondbacks and Dodgers for first place. You don't scoreboard watch, you have to win. It's like the Pirates. Doesn't matter what every other team is doing in your division. If you can't win baseball games, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't scoreboard watch, it's too early. So I like it. There's a lot of the National League West is becoming a division to watch. Now, Sam, to your point about the Giants, I do not think are going to win the division.
I don't think
And
they'll
that
win the division either. I wasn't even considering them to win the division.
okay. I was gonna say I'm
So we
not
can
throwing
keep
shade
that
on them there,
comment or that
but
thought out of either of our minds because it ain't happening.
yeah, but as far as a wild card is concerned, again, don't scoreboard watch. Just win your baseball games. Just win your games. And are they out? Heavens no, they're not out. So
And I think the thing the Giants are doing really well right now is they're bringing up their youth that's been really shining. I mean, Fitzgerald, I mean, that kid is playing out of his mind. That kid went from not even being a thought in baseball to now being in the top 5 of possible NL rookies.
mm,
Like, Tyler Fitzgerald has just been insane. Elliot Ramos has been just incredible all season. And then, I mean, they're just doing the right things. And I think it's not only setting them up for an exciting end of August, beginning of September, but also I think it will really highlight a lot of potential opportunities for the Giants coming into the postseason. If you ask any Giants fan, Farhan's out. He's done. There is no question Farhan is not going to stay, or the Giants aren't going to keep him. But I think the fact that they're bringing up youth and they're bringing up good youth, and depending on who they bring in to be that next president of baseball operations, I think you're going to see a changing in the landscape of baseball for the Giants. Because I think part of it was obviously the city for players not coming, but I think part of it was the front office leadership that we had. And I think Farhan played a big role into that.
how long has Farhan been there?
6 years, and he's had one winning season.
Yeah, so the 2021 season where you guys won 107 games, he was there for that.
Right, but that's all he's done. That is his one successful season. And
Hey,
if you look
hey,
at
hey,
all the
Giants.
players that potentially could have come to the Giants that didn't sign with us, yes, again, the city is a part of it, probably, but I think they saw what he was doing, not improving their farm system, not bringing up youth, going out for veteran guys on short-term deals, not solidifying players to long-term contracts to put some stableness in the team. I think a lot of that was shown to some of the biggest free agents, Arson Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Carlos Correa, and they probably said, why will I come to a team where they're not putting anyone behind me to be successful and I have to put it all on my shoulders? Now you're seeing guys like Jung-Hoo Lee, who signed a 6-year contract last year, Elliot Ramos, who's playing out of his mind, Tyler Fitzgerald, who could easily become the next shortstop for the Giants, and you could see Marco Luciano traded in this offseason. I mean, there are so many things that are happening right now with this youth coming up for them. And not to beat this topic, because this is a topic we can have for another day, but I think it'll be a changing of the guard for the Giants come this offseason. I
Hey,
truly do.
Giants, give me a call. I'll run your baseball operations. Trust me, we'll be fine. We'll be
No,
fine.
actually, I want the AGM from either of the two AGMs from the Orioles to come over to San Francisco. I
Uh-huh.
think that would be an exceptional pickup for the Giants in baseball. But time is short. We always get so passionate about these topics. We're going to touch real quick on the stolen base count. There is no one touching Superman Ellie De La Cruz in this stolen base leaderboard. Not going to happen. He's going to be Bill. One question. Well, two questions. First question: is Ellie gonna hit 80 stolen bases?
No.
Okay. You don't think he could get 21 stolen bases in the next 30 games of play?
As long as he can get on base, but right now his batting average is showing that he's struggling getting on base.
That's fair. Second question: how much will we miss the stolen base record from last year this year?
By 300.
Okay, that's a big number. Where'd you come up with that 300 number from?
We saw 140 or so stolen bases last week. You times that out by 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. You're going to end up with about, that's assuming that these things happen. You'll have close. You'll end up just shy of it. But here's the reason why I say we're about 900 away, right? Here's the reason why I say that we're going to miss teams that are going to rest their guys here in the next couple of weeks, and you're going to see rookies come up and things like that. So if the Reds are mathematically eliminated in the middle of September, does Ellie play every day? Probably not. He probably gets a couple of days off here or there. So just things like that.
That's fair. I was gonna go more in the 150, maybe 200 realm, which is why I was a little shocked by the 300 number. But I see where you're coming from. Looking at home runs, though, I mean this number always just blows our mind every week because it seems like it goes up by 250 to 300 on a weekly basis. How much will we exceed the home run total count from last year over this year?
Very little, maybe 100.
Okay.
Very
Um,
little, maybe 100. For the same
will,
reason that I just said.
yeah. Will Aaron Judge hit 60?
No, 58 or less.
Big Dave, I'm rooting for you, brother. I'm rooting for you. I got
50
you.
or less.
I
50
got
or
you.
less. Or 58 or less. I'm sorry.
Bill, you put together, as we always have fun on ATD, you put together a great podcast schedule for us coming this week. You got a great guest on Tiger Talk on Monday, but take us through the schedule. What you got?
Tiger Town Talk was pre-recorded. Yes, we had a fantastic guest. Harmony was awesome on that show. Oh, sorry, the guest was awesome too, Sam. Peter from Sheffield Shuffler talks being a Phillies fan and a Cubs fan and their look. We do have a new podcast that airs bi-weekly. It's called Infield Fly Roll. It's with Thomas Brown. Thomas is a great asset to the community. Sam and Thomas know each other. They're great dudes all together. Yeah, it's a great time. Cass
What
and
do you
Zach,
talk about on Infield Fly Rule, if you don't mind me asking, for the fans out there, so they know? I'm sure they want to, to bite them into the conversation.
it's all based around the Braves.
Okay.
It's kind of a Braves bi-weekly show. What's going on with the
Okay.
Braves?
The,
So
it,
Cat,
it, it comes across as like a rules podcast, so that's why I
yeah,
asked.
yeah, yeah. Thomas and I came up with the name. Kaz and
Okay.
Zach are Yankees fans. They're on, and then we got Mets Jr. on, and then for around the I'm sorry for in the leagues we have Amanda on Monday. We'll play Would You Rather on Wednesday, and then on Friday, Mets Megas back on. Don't forget what I had said. There is going to be some major announcements. I'm going to break a few of them right now. September is going to be a crazy month. September is going to be a crazy month for Top Fan Rivalry. If you're not a Locker Room Access member, go get your Locker Room Access. Okay, it's 25 bucks. Use the code ATD. You're going to get $10 off. You're going to spend more than that in 3 days at Starbucks. Don't tell me you're not. Don't tell me you're not. Oh, Bill, I don't drink coffee. Okay, fine. Then you spend more than that buying donuts or whatever. And if you're on the East Coast, Dunkin' Donuts, right? So here's the thing. In September, we're going to have our brand ambassadors meetings. In September, we are going to have a softball tournament in Houston. In September, on the 14th. On September 15th, we're going to the Sugarland Space Cowboys game for Fan Appreciation Day. Yours truly is throwing out the first pitch. It's going to be awesome. Okay, we're going to have a great time there. Then, I believe on the 26th, we're going to have another virtual event, a locker room only event. But this is going to be for the entire family. It's not going to be for just the ladies. In October, we have another softball tournament, and we're going to have two virtual events. In November, we have another softball tournament, and we're going to have 2 virtual events. These are all locker room access only events. So if you don't have your locker room, go out and get your locker room.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to spend more money on other things. And I know all the subscriptions that you have. I know that you got Disney Plus. I know that you got Amazon Prime. Listen, all these are like monthly things, right? Ours is 25 bucks for a year. Are you kidding me? That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
and pay attention for maybe a little announcement. We might start talking a little bit about another sport too here very soon.
very excited to hear what the second sport is. A new show might have to be created. We will see.
New
But
show.
Bill, you make a great point. It's 25 bucks for the year. That's $2.08 a month. $2.08 a month for amazing baseball sports content written by fans for fans. And if you use the code ATD in all capital letters when you go and sign up for that, you get 10% off your membership. So you know what that means? You take that $25, you take that down to $22.50, you divide that by 12, you're paying less than $2 a month for Top Fan Rivalry Locker Room access. And you get access to all of the shows, all the podcasts, all the articles, all the special events. And you can still use that code for the 10% discount on all of the merch in the Locker Room store.
Exactly.
What are you doing not going and signing up? Remember, get to TopFanRivalry.com, use the code ATD in all capital letters, and that will get you your Locker Room access. We love having you join us every Saturday for this show. Make sure if you are already a Locker Room Access member, make sure you're checking out for new articles, podcasts, merch. And if you haven't already, join the T-shirt club. This was July's. June's is on. August's is on its way. It's an awesome, awesome club to be a part of. You get great, awesome, really comfortable merch. I strongly encourage it. Bill, I appreciate you putting me into a bet to get signed up for this club because this is probably one of the most comfortable t-shirts I am wearing currently.
Awesome. I love that one. I wear that one all the time.
It is a great shirt. Bill, any final words for the fans out there?
No, let's just go out and have a great weekend.
Go fight, win.
You go fight, win.
Go fight, win. As always, thank you so much for joining us this week on ATD. We will be back next week to bring you another amazing episode. We will see you on the field, and make sure you're letting us know what you want us to talk about. This isn't just about us bringing up topics. We want to hear what you want us to talk about. More than happy to bring those topics up. Thank you so much. We will see you on the field next week.